All right, welcome back. In this next clip, we'll be looking at a part of a Solar After Dark episode. In this part of that episode, the guys discuss some of the career paths that people have been able to find in the utility scale solar industry. And, a personal mission of mine here is going to be making it well known the types of success that can be found within the various trades that are available to you with little to no education. I personally have an associate's degree, and that's it. Now, I have spent countless hours in, self-education, but, the only diploma I have is an associate's degree. And quite frankly, I really don't think that you need that to be successful in industries like the utility scale solar industry or other electrical industries, any trade industry, right? So one thing that I want to do is investigate the various trades, the types of jobs you can find in them, what makes people happy in those trades. And I can just go on and on, but in this particular clip we talk about some of the people who got their starts in the utility scale solar industry, how humble those beginnings were. And I think we may even talk about how far some of these people have gone. Perhaps one anecdotal story that I could tell that's not in this clip real quick is a guy that's a dear friend of mine who, started as a crew member on a pile driving crew. He's now a director of one of the largest, renewable energy companies, definitely in the country, if not the world. Super proud of that guy. And, I don't think he spent a lot of time in college. He was the type of guy that, chose to grind it out and has found wild levels of success. And so I know that opportunity is going to continue to present itself for people, especially in these emerging markets. The North Carolina market was a proving ground for the utility scale solar industry. We have a lot of things that we can teach some of these newer markets that are now, just starting to pop up. And what I really hope to help facilitate is, a more streamlined path for the locals in those areas to these types of jobs that we've been able to find, not only a level of financial success, but, really job fulfillment. If you go over to the Suns Out podcast, you're just going to hear me just absolutely gush about that industry, because I genuinely do love that industry. It's provided such a high level of meaning, and it's just a great group of people. I could gush on it about it forever and ever, but I really just want to go back to the point of this clip now, which is that there are a lot of, opportunities out there for people to, maybe create a better life for themselves through the trades, right? That's one thing that we kind of get at with this clip. We talk about, temp agencies and while it might not be glamorous, and it certainly could be a trap if you're not self-aware, if you're not, actively working towards creating a career for yourself. It can absolutely trap you, and you need to be aware of that. But these temp agencies provide a literally, they open the door into whatever industry you want to get into. You'll hear in this clip, we get some really good people from some temp agencies. And I really think, if somebody, let's say, for instance, somebody that might be in a rural part of the United States that can't afford to necessarily pick up and move to somewhere where they'll have better opportunities for them and their families. Well, at least for some people, there might be an opportunity to take a job in a trade in which, there's per diem paid, in addition to a good living wage, that can help facilitate a move like that. There's, as you gain experience within a trade, you can certainly be reimbursed or paid up front for moving cost within some of these trades. So there are a lot of added benefits to the trades. And so again, I'm going to continue to bring those benefits that I see to the table here, and I hope that is something that you find interest in, and is something that you can share with the people that you care about, that you might hope to see a brighter future for, especially those that are actually interested in creating that path for themselves, right? So I obviously could continue to ramble on forever, but I will stop talking now. Let's get to the clip, and I'll see you on the other side. From my perspective, now that I've been able to move further north up the coast, I'm getting exposed to a lot of these other construction companies that aren't necessarily solar companies, and just watching how they work. It's almost not fun. Like the North Carolina cowboy solar mentality was so much fun for however unprofessional we may have been. Or however, we tried to figure something out.
And that's how we all got in the door, right? Did any of us deserve to be out in the solar fields or learning how to, being in, a cutting-edge field? That's right. No, we wouldn't have gotten in, except that it was they were recruiting literally anybody with two hands and a brain, right? It was hey, who can go out here and you got a license? No recent DUIs? Okay, cool.
Oh, you do you have a friend that wants to work with you?
That's right, exactly. Do you have somebody that could drive you? Exactly. So, yeah, and I mean, I think that's, not to talk badly on any of them, even though it probably sounds like we're doing that, or I am anyway. It's just, I think that's also part of, ambitious people and industries. That's part of new industries, right? It's at some point in time, somebody has to take a chance. Somebody has to, there's not a trained workforce to do it, so you have to make one, right? So who do you choose to train a workforce from? Well, just anybody who's willing to do it, right? And I mean, look at how many of us all started just, I forget what the company was that everybody worked for at Strata. YCC, anybody remember?
There was Hard Hat.
Anyway, there were all these temp agencies that a ton of people came through, right? And started out as temp workers in the solar field, and now have really legit careers, driving trucks, handing out business cards, whatever, you name it, right? And it's hey, that's kind of cool, right? That's opportunity. That's an incredible ladder of kind of socioeconomic expansion that was lowered for a bunch of North Carolina, rednecks, basically, right? And it's
really that opportunity is going to exist in all these emerging markets in the United States still, and that's kind of a goal of mine with the Why Solar series that we're doing on this podcast, is just to make people aware. If I could have known as a high school student that not only would I enjoy the type of people that I was working with, and that I would actually enjoy the work that I was doing, but I could also make a damn good living doing it. If I could understand that could start straight out of high school through these I've told the story before, but I had a full ride to a university, right? I was a biochem major straight out of high school, which is you can't get a whole lot further from solar, and just that wasn't on my radar. The concept of doing manual labor as a means to getting to a successful, comfortable career, that was unfathomable. It was impossible that you could have something that you were actually happy doing, unless you went to get to college to get at least a 4-year degree. So yeah, that's something that happened in North Carolina, and I hope that these emerging markets are able to recognize that as well, because there is a lot of opportunities still in this industry. We freaking still need people,
Yeah, well, we just talked to Troy, and he worked for a temp agency, and then came up through, and look at now, he's a director. So it speaks a lot to just getting into the business and then working your way up.
Absolutely. Listen, that is just one of the many clips you'll be seeing from that podcast. on this channel here. I have a lot of fun over there. It is a major passion of mine. I'm very grateful for, number one, the utility scale solar industry and what it's been able to do with, in my life. I'm grateful for trades in general. I grew up thinking that anyone that worked in a trade had basically failed at something else first. And that's not true. And even if it is true, what I didn't understand, what I didn't realize is just how fulfilling, how rewarding, how much I would enjoy a job in a trade. I grew up in the woods, riding four-wheelers and mudding and, just spending a lot of time like in swamps and all these crazy just outdoor places, right? I now work in a lot of similar places, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for not having an office job. I did have office jobs and I hated it. Being able to move around, not being trapped in four walls, those are the things that I enjoy about my job. There are a lot of things I enjoy about my job, but taking a step back, looking at the big picture, I just want to make sure, these type of things are being communicated to an audience that is interested in either starting a career or changing a career, right? I want to just encourage people to think things through. A trade job is not going to be for everyone, but I set out from high school with the mentality that I had to be a doctor or a pharmacist or a nurse practitioner or something successful in the health field. And quite frankly, that field is not for me at all. I work by myself, traveling all up and down the East Coast, seeing some of the most beautiful places in the world. I get to nerd out. I've always been a very technical guy, from the type of music I've played to, just being forced to learn things mechanically under a shade tree to keep my vehicles moving. There's just been all these different things that, perhaps would have indicated to me that I needed to be looking for a job in a trade growing up, just based on the things I liked. And I just didn't understand that was the case because I didn't fully understand the opportunities that were available to me within the trades. That's enough for right now. It's just one of the many things that I'll be doing here. If you enjoyed this clip, or if you know somebody that might be interested in the type of content that we're talking about right now, please share this clip with them. Please do all the things like, follow, subscribe, because, utility scale solar is one thing. I've got a whole podcast for that, Sun's Out. But more importantly, I think there's a bigger mission here, which is to cover all the trades, right? Or as many as I can. This whole nonsense about cancel student debt. Everybody is really inundated in student debt, and I don't know that necessarily the problem is the debt. It's the mentality that leads to the debt. You don't have to take on massive amounts of debt to be successful. In fact, I think a lot of people would have a much higher quality of life if they kind of took a step back and looked at things like the trade. So, help me share this message. I think it's an important one, and I appreciate your time. I'll see you on the next one.